So I have Jenny with us, and we're talking today about mental health, since it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I recently was at the Monaco Yacht Show where I was fortunate enough to meet Jenny, and I presented on the panel for PYA on sexual harassment. And Jenny's captain was there, Carol, and also Donovan. And they said, according to Jenny, that they were quite impacted by the survey results, and now they've come back on board and they're strategizing and looking at ways to create awareness and make a change. So I'll hand it over to you, Jenny. Can you tell us more about what happened post-meeting?
Yeah, well, I unfortunately wasn't able to be there, but when Captain Carol and her husband Donovan, who's the chief engineer, they came back to the boat, and the reaction that they had to the presentation that Carrie from the PYA and yourself put on there was quite profound. Like, they were just devastated and completely confronted that that's the state of our industry at the moment, and that it's just so widespread. And, men, women, that coming from having these awful experiences that you just don't think would be happening here. Anyway, they were basically shocked into action, and within the first 3 days back on board, we'd had a very, very in-depth discussion about what steps that, first of all, just like, why is this happening in our industry, and what actions can we take as individuals, as captains, to kind of do our part in not letting this happen anymore. So we actually put together a section in our new ISM, which is a sexual harassment policy. And that's something that we had a really cool meeting with our crew. Our crew is amazing. And we sat down, we're like, guys, this is the state of our industry. This is what's happening. It's not happening on our boat, but it's actually our responsibility as individuals to be aware that it is happening. This is our company policy, basically. So I'm not sure if many other boats have done that or even know that that's an option. But we had such a beautiful reaction from the crew. Obviously, we're a mixed crew, men and women, just being like, again, shocked that this was happening. But then being able to present them with, if you see this happening, this is the line that you have to go through, or that you can go through. This is your responsibility as an individual. Being aware of actually the liability to the owners. If something happens on board, there's a huge financial liability to them. So being aware of that as well.
That's great. That's fantastic. I'm glad that it really inspired people into action, and it was well received by the crew. And I guess the biggest issue is it's a very isolating industry. And you don't really know who to call, and you don't have those contacts on shore to seek help and support from. And that fortunate enough, through that panel, we had ICE1 there, and then we also spoke about Medi-Air, who provide with free calls, and then obviously we provide a counselling service as well. And I know from my perspective how difficult it was when I was working on the yachts and then experienced a mental health issue which impacted me physiologically. But then we were in Portofino and no one could speak English, and it was so hard. I was like, I don't need medicine. I need something else. I need support, or to be able to talk to someone, and I know that the symptoms will then disappear. And another big thing is bullying. I know that's huge, and I've had a lot of people approach me with regards to collusion and people just making other crew lives just a utter misery, to the extent of breaking their personal belongings, putting their things in the toilet. It's just awful. And another thing that's very common is the alcohol and substance abuse. So I'm hearing of coke boats. And look, you can have one usually use substances to either relax and have a good time, or to mask a particular symptom. So that's called the Band-Aid effect. So instead of dealing with the root cause, you drink or you take drugs. It's obviously not only impacting themselves, but it's impacting everyone on board and other people's physical safety. So how would one manage something like that? like if you, for example, see through like using drugs or drinking, like how can that be managed?
Yeah, it's a really tricky one, and well, it should be black and white, but I think the reality of it is that it's so in, ingrained into our industry that it's just normal. Like you said, there's boats where the initiation is like doing a line of coke with the whole crew, and then you're part of it. So I strongly believe it's up to the captain and the officers and basically the people that are creating the culture to really enforce that. Obviously having zero tolerance policy on board, but then backing that up. But I believe that it also has to come from another angle as well. You got to be able to give people things to do other than that. You know, like getting the culture away from the first thing you do when you get into port, go out and get really, really drunk, go out and get into that, is creating other things for people to do, creating that culture when you go out and do activities together. And that support system, if you can see someone having an issue with it, making it an open door, be like, hey, what's going on? It's obviously not appropriate for the boat, but what's really behind it? And having those people like iSwan, Med-Air, and the support system for people and letting the crew know that that's where they can go, because we are not trained psychologists, most of us. You are. But being able to outsource people who need the help to the people that can give it, that's our job.
Yeah, no, that's great. Now, can you tell me a little bit more about She of the Sea? From a mental health perspective, how would it be of benefit for others that are feeling maybe particularly anxious or depressed or experiencing any other mental health issues by reaching out with a body like yourself, what you guys do for She of the Sea, which is amazing? How could that be helpful to others?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. Like, this journey has made me aware that this is really something that we need, to be able to have a safe space for people, men and women, to reach out to. We are working with a few different companies to be able to create that support network. I think for now, the major thing that I can offer, or that She of the Sea can offer, is just a community of women and men that actually really care about this. I'm obviously right on the other end of an email, but there's a network of women in all different areas of the industry that are there basically to help. So She of the Sea is there for people to plug into, to ask questions. We're creating a mentoring program at the moment with a few other bodies. And I'm in the process of having all of these tools, so the contacts with iSwan, having the PYA, Nautilus, all of these companies that are there to support crew. It's a resource base, so people can come on and find out what their options are. We're also in the process of putting up an example of our sexual harassment policy for other boats to then implement. We've got a lot of captains and first officers and the people that have the power to make that change with the website. So giving them templates and options. This is the crew training we're doing on sexual harassment. This is how we are doing. This is how we deal with bullying on our boat. This is the kind of tools for the people that can make change to make change. So yeah, it's all in the works at the moment, but it's pretty exciting. So for now, there's just a community of women and some resources, but we're building it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm excited to see it. So how would you notify people on your Facebook page of the training and the resources available?
Absolutely, yeah. Every time we've got a new page, or we actually have a resource page at the moment, or at the moment it's more focused towards officer training and slightly different angle, but as these resources come available, they come up on the Facebook page, Instagram. We've even got a WhatsApp group of different officers and captains, so we can literally get these resources straight away to the people that need them.
Oh, well done to you guys. That's awesome. Thanks for your time, Jenny.
Thank you so much.